Doing some traveling recently. Recently performing in San Antonio, Texas. Fun fact, San Antonio is the first major U.S. city to be generating all of its energy from human waste. We live in the era of poo power. How amazing is that? And what better place for them to debut that technology than San Antonio, a place that's famous for its Tex-Mex. If you factor in tourism, they're going to have an energy surplus on their hands. It's also in Las Vegas a few months ago. If you've never been to Las Vegas, I highly suggest you go. I love it. It is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, but it has the dirtiest sidewalks I've ever been to. I've ever seen in my life, man. It's like there's a reason why all the pictures in the brochure are shot from an upward angle. Because up here, it's all like glitz and glamour, but the sidewalks are fucking Calcutta. My first night in Vegas, I was walking from my hotel room to the Las Vegas Strip, and I stepped on a used condom. Oh my God. That's how I learned the hard way that you cannot burn your shoes within the city limits of Las Vegas. Especially if you're still wearing them. I love living in Tulsa. You know, I love it. A lot of people say this is we're the buckle of the Bible Belt. I disagree. I think we're a different part of the Bible Belt. We're that one notch in the belt that we had to drill ourselves. It's just a sign of how far we've let ourselves go. That's the part of the Bible Belt we are. But I love living here because it's just like this town is just as paradoxically screwed up as I am. I mean, it's like we're supposed to be this big Christian hub, but yet we have no problem with the fact that we have a strip club that obviously used to be a Wendy's. Lady Godiva's. They even kept the goddamn drive-through window. I think it is amazing. Well, if you're drinking tonight, be smart about it. We don't need any drunk drivers out there, but even if you're not driving, don't be a drunk passenger either. You know, designated driver is not a babysitter for your drunk ass. I've done my time as a designated driver. It's like, yeah, you want to get your drunk friends home quickly, but you also want to avoid driving past Taco Bell along the way. I think after the bars close, Taco Bell should just move the drive-thru to the other side of the building. Because it's never the drivers that are ordering. Right? It's just some guy leaning over from the passenger seat going, how many tacos can I get for $4? It's like, dude, we're not even up to the microphone yet. Calm down. Here's one thing I've learned is like, if you got a drunk passenger in the car, do not let them control the radio. Because somehow they will always find a radio station that is playing Journey. I don't know how they do that. I'm a new dad. I've got a 6-month-old daughter at home. Woo! Yeah. It's I'm starting to realize just exactly what it is to be a parent. When I've been reading my daughter The Cat in the Hat. I grew up with that story. But I found myself relating to the fish in that story. The goldfish is saying like your mother wouldn't approve of all these hijinks. That's who I kept gravitating towards. I think that's going to be my biggest struggle as a parent is trying to get my daughter, let my daughter watch these movies, read these books. But I'm too focused on plot holes to really be able to sit there and enjoy it with her. It's like my daughter. She's 6 months old, but she already has a favorite movie. No matter how upset she is, if I put on Aladdin, she will calm down. But I can't stand the fucking movie Aladdin. Alright, okay. Spoiler alert, even though the movie came out in 1992, you should have gotten off your ass and watched it by now. Aladdin tricks Jafar into using his last wish with Genie to turn himself into a genie. The genie sends Jafar and his lamp into the Cave of Wonders. And then Aladdin uses his last wish with Genie to set Genie free. Right? Basic plot of the movie. Aladdin is a dumbass because he should have used Jafar as a genie to get 3 more wishes. Like, tricked him into turning himself into a genie, and he should have used Jafar for 3 more wishes. Used 2 of them for himself, and used the last wish to turn Jafar into a mortal man so the Sultan could have him executed for his crimes. And then use his last wish with Genie to set him free. To set Genie free. That's the way it should have gone. Alternatively, he could have let Jasmine and the Sultan have a go at Genie and Jafar and have 6 wishes apiece there. And maybe make some changes around Agrabah, because I don't think they've ever really taken a good look around at that shithole of a kingdom they're running. I have no idea where the fuck I was going with this. I love being a dad. Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home dad, and it so amazes me how people get weird when I tell them that. I tell them I'm a stay-at-home dad, and they go, "Oh, that's cute, you're Mr. Mom." No, I'm Mr. Dad, you sexist prick. What the hell is wrong with you? That is the only part of having kids that women can do that men can't, is the actual act of giving birth. And after watching my wife give birth, ladies, you can have that, okay? Men should not be allowed to give birth because we're too competitive. If men could give birth, it would be the main event at the X Games every year. And I would love to see the color commentary on that. So, ooh, he started pushing before he was fully dilated. That's going to cost him some points with the judges. I used to say the only thing that men can do that women can't is write their names in the snow. But last winter, my wife proved me wrong. Women can write their names in the snow. It just takes a little bit longer. It's much more ornate. It's like white brush calligraphy. I mean, my wife tried to sell it on Etsy, and it got intense for her. And of course, I know women have their little monthly visitor, and you know, so I know that's I sympathize with that. But it's like, don't think that guys got off lightly, okay? Men have our own struggle, okay? We have to walk around all day, every day, with balls. That's our problem right there, man. It's like balls never obey the laws of nature, okay? When it's hot out, they stick to the inside of our leg. When it's cold, they go back into it inside. I just don't. I treat my balls a lot like I did that weird bit back in high school. I just looked at it and go, what the hell is wrong with you? Why do you smell like that? That is just weird. They're the most sensitive part of our bodies, but they're also in the most vulnerable spot ever. It's like right between the legs. Anything with a slightly upward trajectory just hits the legs and goes right into the love nuggets. It is not. And it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. Okay. I'm not just blowing smoke here. Okay, there is science to back this up. A few years ago, they did a study where they hooked people's brains up to these monitors to try to measure a pain index. Came up with these units of measurements called dells. And they estimated from this study that a woman giving birth measures at about 90 dells. Let's put that right about there. But a man getting kicked in the balls, 8,000 dells. That means a man getting kicked in the balls is the equivalent of him giving birth 85 times and then stepping on a Lego. Ever since I discovered that, every morning now, my wife just gently just cradles my balls and just goes, I appreciate everything you have to put up with. And then I touch her crotch and go, same here, babe. And that's the secret. Speaking of dolphins, I have attention deficit disorder. And as somebody who has attention deficit disorder, there are 2 people in this world that really piss me off. And the first one is people who deny it even exists. Usually some redneck guys go like, hey man, there's no such thing as attention deficit disorder. Whenever somebody tells me their kid has ADD, I say that kid just needs an ass whooping. That'll get them to focus. I just look that guy in the eye and go, I'm sorry, I really wasn't listening to you. What, because you have ADD? No, because you're an asshole. That's why. You would rather beat a child than understand his medical condition? What the hell? Remind me never to have cancer around you, jackass. The other type of person that pisses me off is somebody who clearly doesn't have attention deficit disorder, but they steal it and co-opt it and use it as an excuse for their shitty behavior. I'm sure you've heard somebody say, oh my God, I'm like so ADD today. And I'm like, fucking today? That's not how it works, okay? ADD is not like rain or a headache or a politician sleeping with his own wife. It doesn't happen once in a while. It's 24/7. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it. It's like people think that if you have ADD, you just can't focus on anything. That's not true. I can focus for a very long time. It's just never on what I need to be focusing on. That's the distinction. Like I'd get my taxes done on time every year if like Super Mario Brothers did all the math for me. But a lot of people just don't understand what it's like to have ADD. Let me explain to you best I can. It's like there's always two voices in my head. You know, and they're both fighting over the same microphone. You know, one of them is a fully functional, respectable adult. The other one is an autistic 12-year-old that's hopped up on pixie sticks. Like I know my set's been a little disjointed, and that's because little Danny up here is going like, tell them I like dinosaurs! And they're like, get out of my head! I want to have hush puppies for dinner! Like, no! And I also suffer from insomnia, which means there is a third voice in my head working the graveyard shift. I'll have my head down on my pillow, ready to fall asleep, and then there's like that third voice, which is like a coked-up conspiracy theorist, just goes on and like, there were 7 deadly sins, and there were 7 castaways on Gilligan's Island. Find the connection. Go. Fast forward to 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm wide awake in front of a dry erase board going, okay, Gilligan is obviously sloth. Mr. Hal was greedy, Ginger lust, Marianne envy. The professor thought he was the only one smart enough to get everybody off the island, so boom, we got pride. Now the skipper is where things start to get tricky. Because you would think because of his short-fused temper he would be wrath, but he was also the fattest fuck on that island, so he could be gluttony, but he can't be both, because that would make Mrs. Howell, an innocent soul completely devoid of original sin, which begs the question, what the fuck is she doing on that island in the first place? I mean, do the producers expect us to believe in a television god that would allow such bad things to happen to a pure spirit like that? I don't think so. In fact, there's only 3 things I know for certain. Number 1, Gilligan's Island is way more fucked up of a TV show than I initially thought. Number 2, there's not a restaurant in town that will serve me hush puppies at this hour. And number 3, my brain is kind of an asshole. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. My name's